I'm already absolutely enamored by the backdrop behind him. This is a massive apartment complex. Like, this is huge. It's so it just goes forever. It's crazy, actually.
It's more expensive to live in Hong Kong than anywhere in the world.
Okay, more expensive to live here than anywhere in the world. That's
Hong Kong
actually
has
amazing.
been ranked the least affordable housing market in the world 8 years in a row, and by a long shot. Housing prices are now almost 20 times more than annual income.
That's actually crazy because I thought it was really expensive to live in New York. But now I'm seeing all the other places that are so much more expensive, especially Hong Kong. That's insane. I didn't realize that.
That means that a household making $50,000 would, on average, be looking for a house that costs $980,000. And it's getting really bad. Hundreds of thousands of residents now squeeze into incredibly small apartments, most of them no
And just the level of like the amount of houses and how many units you can see are in each of these giant sky rises. It's crazy.
bigger than a parking space.
So these are cage homes, which basically fit one person and their belongings.
Oh my god. This is the cage homes. This is wild. I've never seen anything like this.
And they basically stack these in a room in order to fit as many people as they can in the room.
And yet the price per square foot for these smaller houses just keeps shooting up. I visited these homes to try to piece together an explanation for this trend, and to meet the people who are being squeezed by the world's least affordable real estate market.
Some of the architecture's kind of pretty. It is ridiculous the price of housing these days wherever you go, but it is really ridiculous here. Like, more than I could have ever imagined. That's wild.
There are now tens of thousands of people in this city who live in spaces that are between 75 and 140 square feet.
By the way, that's really small.
For some perspective, a typical parking space in the US is 120 square feet.
Exactly. So most people live in any of your guys' countries, a typical parking space, they don't have much more space than that in their entire home for their families and them.
所以好困難。始終呢度係黑暗嘅，即係一入嚟到唔見唔到光噶嘛。
One of the most common strategies for small space living
Look at how narrow the hallways are, too.
is this subdivided house model. This big space that's been divided up into a bunch of tiny little living spaces.
Okay, I see. So they take a bigger apartment that may have been an apartment at one point, but they make each of the rooms in that apartment a different apartment. Man, that's so terrible.
House model. This big space that's been divided up into a bunch of tiny little living spaces. These people basically have room for a bed and a table and a few belongings.
有啲就條理，有啲就求求其其咁樣。嗰啲唱 K 啊嗰啲啦，同
That's
啲
what he's
水啊
got. This is what he has. It looks like he's living in the year 2000. He has like one of those really old really old DVD players and just some food, but like he's got just this tiny shoebox room.
求求其其咁樣。嗰啲唱 K 啊嗰啲啦，同啲水啊嗰啲藥品啊，好簡單嘅啫。
What makes this model work is that they have a bigger communal space where they're able to have their cooking and their washing in the bathroom open to everyone.
Okay, so they share a kitchen and a bathroom. It's kind of like a business office where you have like a windowless room that's super small, and you have a communal kitchen, communal bathroom, sort of stuff like that.
So that they can save space and save money in their actual living quarters. So this is the kitchen for this space, which is shared by 4 families.
因為每個人生活習慣唔一樣啦，成日都因為好少嘅事都會有摩擦啦。
You can literally see this kid is playing on the computer. He's playing on the computer. And she's just sitting next to him, and that's all the space they have. They have a bed a computer, that's life. Like that is home right there.
冇佢咯，即係好多嘈交咯。
The tempting explanation here for why the prices are so high is land scarcity. 7.5 million people crammed into this series of islands. It's going to drive up the prices. Same story in
Yeah, there's a lot of people in China. A lot of people in China. And a lot of people that want to live in Hong Kong, of course.
a lot of places that have run out of land that are in high demand. Think San Francisco or New York City.
Okay, this might be the story in New York City and San Francisco, but is Hong Kong actually running out of land? Let's see what the drone says about this.
Send up the drone!
Flying over Hong Kong, you start to see that while yes, there's a very dense urban landscape, there's also a whole lot of green space.
But there's also, it's also fucking mountains, bro. You're not going to be able to build super easily on mountains. And also, I also don't understand why you would, I understand. He's just doing his story and showing that there's green space. But, I like that they've got some fucking green space left. Because when I think major Chinese city like Hong Kong, I'm thinking there is no green space. But look at this. This is beautiful. Now, thankfully, the residents of this city and people that go visit this city get to have that nice green space. They get to have some of this beautiful nature as well. So I think that's really nice. And it maybe it's protected land. Who knows? I mean, here in the United States, we have, we definitely have protected land and things like that. So maybe, even in New York has Central Park, and that is Theodore Roosevelt made sure that Central Park was not to be fucked with. It's a park, and it will be a park, and it's going to be green space for people to spend their time in. Now, this isn't technically a park, but I mean, it's freaking beautiful, and there's a river running through it and everything. It's real nice.
Government land use data says that 75% of the land in Hong Kong is not developed. Now, some of that is mountainous and rocky and not easy to build on.
Exactly.
But certainly not all of it. So I posed this question about density to two experts. One is a Hong Kong citizen and the other is a 30-plus year resident. Both are advocates for better urban design.
Are high prices primarily the result of land scarcity?
No.
No. It's not. Okay.
There's a land use issue because lots of land is being
just weird.
inefficiently used or conserved.
The problem isn't the shortage of land. The problem is bad land management.
Land use, land management. What these experts are referring to is that of all the land in Hong Kong, only 3.7% is zoned for urban housing. But it's not because of mountains, it's because of policy. And this gets to the heart of the explanation of why more and more people are living.
Precisely. Policy. That's what I was thinking. I think it's protected land or something like that.
In homes the size of parking spaces.
The first thing to note, if you want to understand the real explanation, is that the government owns all of the land in Hong Kong. Well, all except for this one church that the British built here when they ruled it back in the 1800s. And it kind of just...
I didn't even realize the British ruled Hong Kong at the very least. Maybe not all of China, but Hong Kong. I know the British definitely had quite an empire going. I just didn't realize it was here too.
The whole government owns all the land thing.
Interesting.
So the government owns all the land, and it leases it out to developers, usually for 50 years, in an auction process, where the highest bidder gets the contract. With such scarce and valuable land zoned for housing, real estate companies, more and more of them coming from mainland China with lots of money, will duke it out in these auctions, and will end up at an astronomically high price.
Like this plot of land that was just leased out for $2.2 billion, which set an all-time record for the most expensive land ever leased by the Hong Kong government to a developer.
So the way that government zones and leases land is the first part of this.
The other part of this explanation has a lot to do with taxes. If you're the type of person who navigates away from this video when you hear the word tax policy, stay with me here. This place loves low taxes. It's a great place to do business because the corporate tax is low, no value-added tax, no sales tax, free market economics, low taxes. That's embedded into the fabric of this place. Look at all those low taxes doing their work, building up those skyscrapers, slapping on those bank logos all over town. So
JP
if the government is
Morgan.
getting revenue from taxes, it really needs it from another source. And in the case of Hong Kong, that source is land sales.
Because a lot of the government revenues here are driven by land revenues, and it's about.
Is there a reason why Vox is up on his computer when we're watching a Vox journalist talk to this man? Does this guy work for Vox too? Like, I don't think so. I think this was just weird advertise. I don't understand.
30% of government public financing income.
Percentage of government revenue related to land leases. Okay, so it's going up.
The government of Hong Kong can lease out this land to developers at astronomical prices, make a ton of revenue from that, and not have to raise taxes on the people or the corporations that reside here. And they still proudly retain their ranking as the freest economy on earth. What this means is that the Hong Kong government doesn't have a huge incentive to free up more land and lower prices. But while this current arrangement of bidding and auctions is really good for revenue for the government and good for the market generally, it's not super good for the people of Hong Kong.
Right. It never is. It never is. It's never good for the people, is it? And we got what, 2 minutes left of this video, and I have not seen much about cage homes yet. So you have clickbaited me, Vox. But now we're talking about the coffin homes, I suppose, in this section of the video. So we'll see what's going on with coffin homes. That sounds interesting.
因為我仔係過度嘅 A 仔嚟㗎嘛，所以空間對於佢嚟講少咗少少，空氣唔流通嘅對我身體都唔好㗎。
Bad ventilation, yep, I can imagine. Looks
Of all the
decrepit.
small spaces, this is easily the most cramped. These are coffin homes.
Could I ask you just a quick question about your living space?
一個人都啊，多個人都唔得。
Man, it's a closet. It is a closet. Imagine, just for a moment, just imagine all of your belongings, everything you own, your food, everything you own in this closet, which is only big enough barely to lay in. You have no floor to walk around in because your entire floor is the bed, which is raised up a little bit, and all you can do is sit down or lay in it. People live like this. A lot of people live like this right now.
呢度一個月咧，呢個位就係2100蚊。
How much?
呢度
So $267 US per month. That's a lot for that. For your entire house. I mean, that's a lot for that. And that doesn't take into account how much these people actually make on average in Hong Kong. Like, what does your average person make in Hong Kong? It's probably a lot different than the US as well. So even just me comparing that to what somebody would make in the US to $267, it sounds kind of affordable here, but I know that in Hong Kong, China, people are not making the same relative equivalent. So that's crazy. And especially when you just get this. It's affordable. It's like affordable here kind of, but it's not really. Because when you look at what you actually get, that's an insane price. That is an absolutely ridiculous price. No one would do that here unless they were absolutely in the most dire straits. And the problem is that the people that are living in these places in China, they're not in dire straits. This is where they have to live. It's one of the most expensive places to live. So if you're not on upper middle class level, you're living in a place like this, most likely. And if you're in middle class or lower middle class, you're probably living in one of those fucking cage homes, man.
一個月咧，呢個位就係2100蚊。住咗3餐，大約1-2年啦。香港啲住費都太貴。
The government is slowly working on this problem. Year after year, new policies come in that are meant to fix this, but they're slow to change, mainly because they have an incentive to keep the status quo as it is.
Right.
Out here at this industrial complex in Hong Kong, I met with a guy named Eric Wong, a local inventor and businessman who has seen a business opportunity in the midst of this space crisis. Eric
Pods.
grew up in Hong Kong and has been thinking about small space living for a long time.
其實喺我幾歲嘅時候，第一個 capsule 點樣嚟咧？我係屋企買咗一個雪櫃，一個新雪櫃又有個紙皮箱，咁我就戒咗啲窗門玩。
Oh, it has Wi-Fi.
It's got
These
Wi-Fi
capsules
built
come
in, baby.
1 or 2 person sizes and are meant to provide a more efficient and hygienic version of the cage and coffin homes, all at a relatively low price.
呢啲款式咁啊喺國內啦，我哋買到係唔使3000蚊一個探倉。咁啊
I mean, yeah, that's kind of wild actually, because this is way nicer than what we just saw. It's still terrible. I mean, it's a literal pod, but you have like actual storage compartments, probably good ventilation system. It's cleaner, looks nicer. It's got like nice lighting and stuff. I mean, comparatively to what we were just looking at, it's a step up. And it only costs $100 more for the entire pod compared to $267 a month for this shitty, tiny little closet space. I can't even really call it a closet. It's less than a closet. So you get this for just $100 more and you just own it, right? Because he's saying the pod costs this. I don't think this is a per month basis. He's not like renting out the space. I think you buy the pod, right?
All at a relatively low price.
呢啲款式咁啊喺國內啦，我哋買到係唔使3000蚊一個探倉。咁啊基本上你去 IKEA 買張床都會貴過。
Down here, there's a little box where you can put all your valuables.
So there's mirror lights, there's reading lights.
But these capsules, as innovative as they are, really just put a band-aid on this housing problem. They don't serve as a real solution. A real solution would need to come from something that's much less profitable and fun to look at. Government policy and
I'm not sure. Maybe he is renting the space out and he just has this like warehouse full of these things and you pay $380 something a month to live there and it's just a bit nicer, but it's still a tiny ass closet space essentially. It's just a nice closet.
reform that will free up more land and put the interests of the people above the interests of the market. But until the government can make that happen, people in Hong Kong will continue to squeeze into smaller and smaller spaces.
Yeah, it's just gonna get worse and worse. It gets so bad. As I always say, like we think, sometimes it's easy to think and feel like we just have it so rough, but it can always be so much worse. So much worse. And China's not like a third world country, China's absolutely not a third world country by any means. Yet nonetheless, it'd be rough. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to see. But I love it. I love learning things like this and putting things into perspective like this. So